So the next topic, that is AI in finance, unveiling the present, mapping the future. To cover this, I would like to call Mr. Prashant Kushwah, co-founder and CEO DICE. He has done the masters at IIM Lucknow. Mr. Prashant has been a visionary in the business landscape. Also, he founded a cab aggregation startup called Taxingo and discovered the bolt of innovation in spend management when tracking and approving expenses of a 150 members seemed challenging. He founded DICE with a vision of pioneering innovation in business finance operations orchestration. Being a seasoned product and strategy leader with a valuable market insights, Prashant oversees product development, partner enablement, and delivery operations at DICE. Requesting you all to please have a huge round of applause for Mr. Prashant Kushwah.
Hello everyone. So firstly, I can see quite a few faces from yesterday also. So pardon me for repeating the same session, but thank you everyone for joining in. No, with the PPT first. PPT. Yeah. So I'll quickly introduce myself, my organization, and I'll focus more on the AI. It is not working. All right, okay. Perfect. So I'll quickly talk about DICE and myself. Yeah. So DICE is a spend management platform. We essentially help companies to manage all of their spends on a single platform. We are a plug and play tool. From inception of a transaction to final settlement, companies can handle end-to-end flows. We have our own no-code engine. So we have built our own proprietary workflow drag and drop engine, using which companies can create AP process, requisition process, RFQ process, PO process, travel expense, whatever processes you want to manage and create, you can create those processes. Compliance rules around those processes can be set up. All type of payment integrations, for example, enabling employees to make UPI payment, doing direct account transfer, or enabling discounting for your vendors can be enabled on the platform. There is end-to-end auditing engine built in the platform for all type of transactions. So today we have about 120 odd large enterprises, 800 odd SMEs and mid-market organizations. More than 5 lakh employees are using DICE every month. About 2 lakh odd vendors come onto our platform who have been onboarded by companies for uploading invoices, giving quotations and all. We process more than 1 million invoices, and annualized, we process about $2.5 billion worth of transaction. So, and right now we are adding a layer of AI to enable all the transactions, but today I will talk more about what all things AI can do today, what all things AI can do in future, what all things CFOs can look for, and also show you a demo of a tool that we have built, which we are launching around one of the AI implementation. So what all strategic pieces of AI? So let me start from the fundamental side. So we all understand AI in the form today. It is essentially some of the innovation which happens on the neural nets, which led to a lot of front-ended development on AI side. Earlier on, we all had structured data and structured understanding on AI. With ChatGPT, we got a lot of unstructured analysis and unstructured use cases as well. All the systems which have to be defined, they have to be, like for example, DICE. If let's say DICE goes for AP automation in your organization, you need to onboard your vendors, you need to add the vendor master, product master, GST master, location master, and then system will function on its own, right? You need to create workflow. But because system needs to know the rule first to operate. This is how all the softwares and everything was designed earlier on, because you need to have a premise and then the predicate can function on the premise. But now with AI, the system can deal in fuzzy logic, deal in a world where you don't need to define. System can learn without defining what it has to learn. Because even if earlier system has to remember something, you have to define in the system what system has to remember, how that memory has to be utilized in future. What will different, there are broadly everything that AI can do can be put into these 12 buckets. It can plan, forecast, monitor, autocomplete, autofill, do all those pieces. But how it operates is there is a foundational layer of LLMs, large language model, OpenAI being most famous of them, then Llama 3, and there are like 20 other foundational model, Anthropic and others. These models are essentially trained on certain servers we call GPUs to understand the data, create memory of those points and predict the next outcome based on whatever input is coming in. There are ways in which the AI implementation happens. So this foundational layer, they usually have an upper layer, which we call retrieval layer, from which the system like ours, the front-ended system, interact with AI. So, and again, every OpenAI has its own layer, Google would have its own layer, everyone have their own layer to interact with the system. And hence they avoid directly getting our data into their servers. So this is how they avoid the direct transfer of data from one system to another. But these are 12 broader use cases in which systems have to be set up. Now, there are different ways in which AI is getting utilized. So for example, you would have heard of co-pilots. All of you would have used ChatGPT, most of you. And there are co-pilots who essentially help a user to do certain tasks. The problem with co-pilots is they hallucinate a lot. The targeting is very minimal. And you would have seen a lot of AI demos that you would have seen, which were built on Copilot. They would not be functioning what the makers would be predicting, right? Like, because the hallucination and the overall functionality is not to the mark, which is actually usable. The second thing which you would be hearing a lot of now today is agent-based architecture or AI agents. According to me and my understanding also, this is something which we all should look for. Their agents are going to fundamentally change the software architecture, the architecture of your work, all of the work pieces which require autonomous triggering, a certain way to function, and then close the outcome essentially will be taken over by agents. Agents will sit behind the system and they will automate the task end to end. If you look at, like for example, very recently Salesforce had a conference, Dreamforce, in which they released Agentsforce. Just to give you a context, Salesforce with all their volume and everything, they are going to completely scrap their software architecture and going on an agent-based architecture. So this is that kind of change that companies are seeing. This is going to fundamentally alter how you look at software. According to me, all your ERPs are going to look like google.com screen in next 5 years. No one needs to go through all those kind of screen in which for using them you need to train your people to essentially use them. So we are creating solutions on top of AI for people to easily use and access AI. So we created different solutions. One of the first one that we are launching is payablesgpt.ai. Then post this we are launching purchasegpt.ai, expensegpt.ai, billpayment.ai, which is essentially DICE only, but focused only on AI-based suite where you don't need to do all the setup. You can go and start from the day one, system will be able to learn, system will be able to adopt. So if you can play the video. So this is just a small 1.5 minute video on Payable GPT. Yeah. Yeah, so the idea is that now for end user, for your vendors, for your employees, they don't need to see 20 screens. You don't need to get into system setup for even for a day. System should be able to start working for you as soon as you have the access to the platform. This is where the AI would really come in, right? Like the overall experience, how you work with things. So now how the entire Payable GPT is made, let me take you through that so that what I want to cover in terms of AI understanding, I'll try to part on that. So, for creating Payable GPT, what we did was at the front end, we created a model which essentially is able to consume invoices. And so this is for payable piece and understand different scenarios of payable like taxation, reconciliation, approval, insights and all. So for employees, finance team and vendors, there is a single screen. They can simply come in there. Employees can upload invoices, vendor can upload invoices, get the status of their past invoices and all those pieces. So that is the first piece, which essentially is connected with the core DICE system to understand workflows and all those pieces. The second piece is we went about creating different AI agents across the structure. So for example, first we created an AI agent for GL coding. So at the line item level, every item can have a different GL code in which it can be mapped through, or in a single invoice, it can go through a single GL coding, right? So system, the agent is trained specifically to understand what is the GL code, what can be the GL code of a particular line item, and where it should sit in a cost center and all. Similarly, there is an agent which is specifically trained to debug different type of frauds which are possible in the invoices. There is an agent which is simply to give you the payment schedule. For example, which invoices you need to approve, which invoices need to be paid today. There is an agent who specifically works 24/7 to understand these pieces only. We can consume data from your ERPs as well in real time. Based on those data points which are coming in, again system can, whatever, system has to modulate or change anything, any information, system will change it. Also, one of the beauty of this mechanism is that a lot of times some data fields goes missing, or there is an information that we want to capture from the user while something is getting initiated. Now, we also, or you also as a user, we cannot always determine how those scenarios are going to come. But which is where again, there is an AI agent simply for data collection. So let's say you are uploading an invoice for a software, and company would usually want to understand in the later round of approval, how many users were there for this software, and this is something which is happening in the system. So this AI agent might essentially go and ask the user upfront only, for how many users are you going to upload these invoices. So these kind of things, then your analytics, reporting and all, the system doesn't have to be complicated. System can simply work for you, just like a Google screen works for you, right? You can go into Google and do everything in the world about search. Same way, everything about finance will be handled through single screens. The way I think of these architecture for the future platforms is, it will be micro agent based architecture. There will be smaller agents doing a specific task, targeted task. In terms of AI, what it also helps is system doesn't hallucinate. The context window is small, because of which the tokens are consumed less. So essentially the spendings on each of the automation is also low. So you get to do the digital transformation without getting into much higher cost, which are there in the large context models and all. Then agents can work 24/7, they are autonomous, they perform a certain task. Now once agents are stitched together, the system is able to then perform the end-to-end function. So this was with the Payable GPT, and we are launching Payable GPT on 15th of October. We are already enabled beta users on the platform. Just to let you know some of the risks of AI, one is over-promise and under-deliver, which all would have fell through multiple times, and this is also happening from the foundational model side as well. What models promise, people, developers like us, is also not delivering the way it was supposed to be delivered. But those things are getting changed today. Like I'm mentioning again, the agentic architecture, 1 year down the line in this conference, almost everyone would be selling some sort of agent. Every single solution that you are going to see next year in GFF would be some sort of AI-enabled solution on that. You go to US market, you look at Y Combinator funded companies, you look at all the new companies which are getting funded in across markets. None of them are regular structured platforms. Everything is around the agentic architecture. Somewhere it is also that the mundane human tasks are getting out of the system. So people are getting more strategic in terms of the nature of outcome that they expect from the AI tools. So the kind of delivery, insights, they are also getting better more and more with training. One thing is with data privacy. So one thing that you should look for the tools that you are going to incorporate, they have an enterprise license of the LLMs they are using or not. See, everyone can promise anything, but Everyone in India is almost using a certain LLM based out of India. So there is a reality out there, but these LLMs don't consume the data. With their enterprises licenses, companies are able to consume these LLMs within the platform itself. So for you, your data is safe within the systematic structure only. Then there are some unstructured risks which come into the system, right? Like a lot of time there are regulatory systematic risks which system can define, but a lot of time the risk come and the system has not been able to define those risks early on, which is where again AI would come in, and AI comes in with certain risks as well. For example, that whole APPs that I had shown you, what if AI start hallucinating on reading the amount? Because the system is fully functional automatically, even though you are saying that you can take human out of the system now. So what if system can automatically read invoices from email, from any scanner room, any source? What if that kind of hallucination happens? So for that, a fail check mechanism has to be established for anything AI that you are doing today, at least for next 3-5 years, till the time AI systems stabilize, the hallucination goes to near zero. You need to have a fail-safe mechanism, maybe automated, maybe manual, but sort of fail-safe mechanism you should always look for, especially when you are dealing with predictive data. This is where the biggest hallucination comes from. When you have to predict for future and the variables that AI understands are limited. For example, let's say you want to do sales forecasting, right? AI can do sales forecasting very easily, but a lot of outside variables are not being input into the system. For example, weather. Like for something, if weather changes in Mumbai at this point in time in October, something starts selling more. But that data has to come from, weather data has to be an AI engine to understand that there is a variability or there is a connection over there. So a lot of time those issues come. So there are risks also which you should understand and try to mitigate them upfront. But adopt AI today so that you can reach to future where future is taking us. All of your finance platforms are fundamentally going to be altered how you have known them till now. This is again about DICE. So we help with travel management. Companies can use their own travel vendors. Employees can plan multi-city trip, do their flight, hotel, bus, cab, train bookings, automated expense filing, everything is there. Then employee can manage expenses, and it is a digital management of expenses. So we enable just-in-time UPI payment. People, you don't have to put money into the hands of employees. You don't have to give them cards and block their money. You can enable just-in-time payment on demand for all type of advance cash or petty cash scenario, and again you can handle reimbursement as you would want to. Then we help companies with entire procure-to-pay cycle. So from RFQ to PO to raising to doing sourcing, contract management, catalog-based purchases, all things can be handled end-to-end on the platform. AP and bill payments, of course, we do this. So this is what we do. We also have an integration studio, because you all would have a lot of internal platforms, and one of the queries, how does these systems work with your internal platforms? So we have a front-ended studio which essentially integrates with your own platforms and enable you to do a two-way transfer of data, automatic setup of approval and everything is there, plus system is able to learn. So for example, the delivery location was not there. In a new invoice, a new delivery location comes. System will ask 2-3 users, is this your company's delivery location? And if it is yes, then system will automatically add it as a possible delivery location for the company. So the system is able to learn and comprehend and then manage. All the violations, etc. are fully automated, like I have shown you. But yeah. So these are the agents. Yeah, the last piece. So we have also created a taxation agent, which essentially there is a GST agent and a TDS agent. So TDS agent not only recognizes your TDS, also creates a challenge and goes up to the payment step. So if you want it to make automated payment, the system will make automated payments as well. So this whole piece is automated. Then your audit and compliance agents are there for doing different type of audit and compliance management. But if anyone has any question, I'm good here. Yes, sir. Absolutely. No. So we integrate with all type of accounting systems, ERPs and all. So we have like about 50 odd of our companies are on Tele. So we integrate with what Tele offline, online. So we integrate with any platform. We can have two-way connection, bilateral data transfer with any homemade ERP, smaller ERP or larger ones like SAP Concur and all, SAP Oracle and all.
Yeah, so can you tell me which are all the leading softwares currently used in India, like Tally or whatever?
So from the expense side, it is Tally. From the accounting side, if I talk about accounting software, it is Tally and Zoho Books. Odoo is also coming in now in some certain new organizations. In the larger organizations, what we saw most is SAP and Oracle. Microsoft has started penetrating in some of the newer organizations that we saw, like startups and all. Right now, according to the flow of market in the larger companies is going towards more on the side of Oracle products than from the...
Got the question. Now, one more question. Like, it sounded to me like you come to us and try it out. But we, as a finance person, I don't want to try it out. Using different five different small agents, hire, pay it and buy it and try it. Then again, keep, redefining it actually. So I don't see a maturity of the product. It sounded to me like you're testing. So
in terms of
testing stage mein koi invest karega, so that's my question.
In Payable GPT?
Whatever, see all these agents, you see a lot of startups are funded now or getting funded.
Yeah.
So I don't see it is on an evolving stage. It's not on a maturity. You're all the first, companies into this kind of conference and all. So,
I get your point, sir. So see, there are two things, sir. So let's say at DICE, we are anyway managing more than 1 million invoices every month, end to end. So from collection of invoices, GST reconciliation, TDS, everything automation, end to end automation is there. What we are trying to do is, lot of things are being done by a finance team member. For example, GL coding, final check is done by a finance team member or employee in the system. Taxation, finally TDS, system will determine TDS, but someone has to go and check whether TDS is right or wrong, create the challan on TDS, make payment for that challan and all. So there are a lot of manual works which are happening. What with the Payable GPT or this whole AI engine we are trying to do is two things. One, we want to change the form factor. Like in current DICE system, there are multiple screens in which you have to go and do different things, right? Like there are, for travel you go there, for expense you go there, for AP you go there, for purchasing something you go there. So user experience is a bit convoluted because there are so many things that user can do. So first we want to simplify that the user has to come to a single screen. Whatever you want to do, A, B, C, D to Z, you can do it from there. Second piece is we want to automate a lot of the user tasks. For example, I have to approve a lot of invoices. Now we have an agent built for invoice approval who essentially will do the sorting for me and give me invoices that I need to approve today. So these agents are essentially automating the tasks which are already running in the system. So system as a whole functions full, but these agents are essentially helping you automate. Now your third question, there is a risk, of course there is a risk associated when these kind of agent will be deployed first, when the users have to be used first. But you have to understand the maturity of technology also. We also waited for like 6 months to a year to understand whether it can be deployed as a tool in itself or it can simply be consumed within DICE. We don't need to launch a different tool to just do this. We can simply consume it within DICE and give you that experience also. But we understood that for the front end user experience to integrate with the full rail, you need to give a form factor difference. You need to automate almost entire process of how people have looked at it. Every single solution that you will implement today, you will go for 6 weeks or 6 months of implementation at least. Everything that you are going to implement. Why do it need to be so hard? Like you can give your documents, system can start learning as soon as it is there in the usage, right? So which is where we are trying to do this. But to answer your question, we are 100% mature as a AP rail, for example. But this AI engine is to simply ease out the complexity and the pieces which your teams are working on.
Thank you, sir. It's almost answered. Oh, one last question is, what about the pricing? Like, do you have a mid-tier, MSME pricing and all?
Yeah, so we charge on invoice basis, and the pricing is for different tiers of users, for different pricing for different users. And we have companies who range from like 100 employees to 80,000 employees or 1 lakh plus employees. So we handle in that range, we operate in that range of customers. Yes, ma'am. Right.
I understand the system will parse the statement, description, and so try to define how much will be the withholding taxes. But most of the time when you see vendors in India or anywhere, the description is not sufficient enough to how much to decide what will be the correct withholding taxes, right? There, a manual intervention will always be there. And do you think when the system is automatically, assigning some kind of tax code, to go line by some data entry person and double checking it, would it be feasible enough?
So essentially, so to answer your question, first when the system is coding GLs for you or system is automating these pieces description for you, system will also take into account the previous invoices and what all things happen in the previous version of things when the previous transactions were flown through. So first, right now you have to pick out the transaction that you need to audit, right? That needs to go through 2 layers of, or if you are sending all the transactions for 2 layers of audit, then you would be paying a hell lot of money to shared service partner and the team members which are involved, which is where the system would come in. So system will first First job of the system is to show you what according to system is 100% confident and 100% right, which is something simply should go through. Everything is fine. Then system will pick out places where there are direct violation, places where there can be possible violations also. So system will throw up the invoices that you need to audit on the platform. So in our existing DICE platform, companies, the finance team get this action, get a filter in which they can see possible violation, in which there are certain violations, like duplicate is a certain violation, GST mismatch is a certain violation, PO mismatch is a certain violation, some sort of limit etc. is a certain violation, payment discrepancy is a certain violation, but there are some uncertain violation as well. For example, the number series on the invoice is not matching, or number series on invoice has essentially changed, which should not have been there, like that thing should have been there, or the description doesn't match with the contract which is sitting there. So now the AI agent can essentially access your contract, see what is in the contract, and then again match the invoice alongside with this. Or if there is a PO sitting there, or GRN happened, so system can access those information from the PO, comprehend that information, what is written in the PO, and then check based on this whether in invoice the same thing is there or not. For example, in PO we write, vendor can add logistics charges onto the invoice. For example, in PO we write this. Now system can access PO and then system can see here, okay, I don't need to predefine कि इसमें दो invoice divide होंगे, right? Like there will be an invoice for logistics and invoice for the material. System knows that there is a logistics component coming in the invoice, so system will automatically do that.
Right, okay, I have another question. Okay, because you talked the major taxation part and etc. I understood from the Indian perspective. There are companies who work in multiple regions.
Yeah.
Okay, so consider there, every country has a different compliance requirement. India would require a withholding and GST, which I'm sure that you're able to file also and give challans also and etc. But think in terms of Singapore or think in terms of UK or USA, they have a different compliance all the across, right? How will that be taken care? From a finance aspect of it, because if you understand, I understand the data will integrate with NetSuite and etc. But think that when it's trying to book the invoice that in the debit credit manner or the line by line item wise, how will it take care of the other compliance in a different country, VAT in UK or GST in Singapore?
Correct. Yeah, so even in India, let's say for example, there can be compliance differences if you are operating in a SEZ, if you are working in a certain defense sector kind of companies, or in finance sector, if you are an NBFC, your rental would have a completely different compliance and all. So there are two pieces to this, ma'am. First is a regulatory compliance setup in the platform. So we have an out-of-the-box compliance engine on our platform, which essentially in which I can go and set up whatever type of compliances which are operating in any region. The compliances operate in three things. One is internal company compliances, then which is for your employees and vendors. Second is board related compliances, which essentially as board has put in a governing rule that you cannot purchase more than 1 CR worth of transaction or whatever, like board related rules. So those governing rules. And third is taxation related rules for any geography. Like for example, if I operate in Singapore, Middle East and all, lot of our companies are like multinational. So they have presence across geographies. Entities can be created for different geographies. So for Singapore, there will be entity creation. There for Middle East, there will be entity creation. For North America, there will be entity creation. Each entity will have its own subsiding policy compliance rules which has to be linked to that particular geography. That is first piece. So there are standard rules that system will be able to work on. So let's say a Singapore invoice comes in, system won't try to find GST in there. System would know, let's say in here, this is the VAT or whatever is going to come in here. How I have to record it, system understands it. Second piece is AI learning side of it, right? So again, when the AI gets trained for these kind of thing, first what are we training AI on? For example, for TDS, first train the AI on the TDS rule which are already there in our system, because we are anyway doing all the TDS automation. What we want to do is for the AI to be able to understand if future TDS rule change. Today someone has to go and manually change. What we want agent to do is to understand if any information is coming in, change the TDS rule based on that, and do all those pieces. So for other regions also, the rules are there in the system, but the AI engine will learn once the transactions start happening and will try to automate or codify different manual pieces of work. But yes, in the governance piece, all the rules that you have to set up will be set up upfront only. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prashant. And to do the honors, I would like to call Mr. Vaibhav Rane on the dais and felicitate Mr. Prashant Kushwah.